What if I told you there was one meal a day that takes minutes to prepare, keeps me full, and sets me up in a position to eat whatever type of food I want? I'm talking pizza, snacks, chips, basically anything I wanted at the time. And that probably sounds like clickbait. I grew up overweight and had a genuine food addiction. I used to eat way past being full, way past being comfortable. I remember going to Wendy's and getting like a Baconator, chili cheese fries, nachos, nuggets, and a large Coke to top it off. Like we're talking like a large amount of food and eating till the point till someone was sick. And yet that same person lost 130 pounds. And not because I stopped loving food. I still like Wendy's. I still like the Baconator. And not because I'm some crazy disciplined individual. Yes, losing 130 pounds does take discipline. But I stopped fighting my appetite and started to work with it. In this video, I'm gonna break down the one meal strategy that helped me lose 130 pounds, still enjoy the foods I love, and how you guys can do it too. If you're an overweight guy around 30 years old, this is probably gonna hit really close to home for you. You like food just like me, and you've probably tried dieting in the past before. And the thing is, when you do that, you restrict yourself, you're probably hungry all day, and you think you're doing a really good job. But the thing is, you end up tired, you think about food constantly. Then at night is when you let your guard down and you eventually snack. And then afterwards, you feel guilty. And then the weekend rolls around, Monday comes around, and you think it was all worth nothing. And this type of process eventually leads you to believe that what you're doing is completely wrong, which is true in a sense. But here's the truth most people don't realize. This type of cycle isn't a willpower problem. It is biology. Most diets are in a fixed position to fight your hunger. And when hunger wins, which it always does, people start to blame themselves. I grew up overweight and food was literally my comfort. Food was my excitement. If I went up to a sporting event, I would be excited because I knew food was tied to that sporting event. I would go to a hockey game just because I knew after the hockey game, we'd be going to get some chicken wings. Food was something that I didn't know how to regulate. Now at the same time, I was a naturally athletic person. I played basketball, football, hockey, rugby, basically all these different sports that I really enjoyed. So being overweight never really aligned with who I felt I was. And after high school, I worked really long days in construction, sometimes 12 to 16 hours per day. And that's when I realized something really clicked for me. Fat loss does not come from motivation. It comes from a structure that you can rely on even if you're tired, even if you're stressed, and even if you don't feel like it. And here's the big mindset shift that changed everything. You don't get lean by eating less all day. You get lean by making one part of the day extremely intentional. So the rest of the day becomes flexible. And that part is protein. Protein is the most satiating macronutrient compared to the other macronutrients. So carbohydrates and fats will not fill you up nearly as good as protein can do. And when your protein intake is low, two things happen. First, your body actually can't recover from the training that you're enduring. Your muscle gains start to slow down and your fat loss starts to slow down. The second thing here, which is actually a big one, is your hunger starts to escalate. Your body doesn't know calories, it knows nutrients. And when protein is missing, your hunger stays high no matter what. That's why so many people eat healthy food and stay out of control. For example, a jar of peanut butter will not fill you up as much as a plate of chicken breast, even though that jar of peanut butter will be way higher calories than that plate of chicken breast. The single habit I never skipped throughout my 130-pound weight loss journey was having at least a very high protein meal every single day. And this was usually dinner time or after training. And that is intentional. After any sort of activity, sports, lifting, working a long day, your appetite will naturally increase because your body actually needs the nutrients. So instead of fighting that type of hunger, I used it. That's why when you are most hungry, eat the most amount of protein in that meal. I'm talking anywhere from 80 to 100 grams of protein in one sitting. And this isn't about eating perfectly balanced meals every single day, every day. It's about handling protein once, properly. And once you have that protein accomplished, everything becomes easy. And now here's where you can really break it down and really make it easy. Protein is the most satiating macronutrient, meaning it is also one of the hardest macronutrients to digest. Carbs are the easiest macronutrient to digest and actually the preferred source of energy for the body. Carbs fuel performance. They will improve your training output. So if I'm training later in the day, I will be eating carbohydrates before training. Rice, candy, fruit, rice cakes, any sort of thing that is quick digesting and will give me that energy beforehand. So if I train later in the day, I will eat carbs before training. Now, typically what you want to do is if you're within a couple hours of training, you will opt in for simple digesting carbohydrates. So things like bananas, things like rice cakes, maybe even candy and fruit before training will help you a lot with your performance. Now, if you're farther away than a couple hours, I would opt for slow digesting carbohydrates. Sweet potatoes, oats, whole wheat bread are some of my own personal favorites. Then after training, when appetite is pretty high, I have that one big protein meal. And balancing my macronutrients like this means I can push myself harder in the gym, recover better, and still give myself enough calories throughout the rest of the day to enjoy whatever type of food I want later on. Now, if I train early in the morning, I will still eat protein beforehand, but not as much because the biggest protein hit will come later in the day. And the big reason for this is because protein later in the day will prevent you from overeating at night and going to bed hungry, as protein is the most satiating macronutrient. It's one of the easiest ways to eliminate that late night snacking and feeling hungry at bedtime. And a lot of times you're not overeating because you're bored. A lot of times you overeat because you're hungry. And I remember like late at night just having like cookies and milk and like not being stuffed. So what would I do? I would just eat more cookies and milk until I felt stuffed. And looking back on it, that would cost me like 1,000 calories, 2,000 calories just before bed, just so I could feel full, but I filled up on cookies and milk. And for you to unlock like true freedom within your diet, you need to stick to lean sources of protein. Lean protein fills you up while leaving all these calories on the table so you can still enjoy yourself. And really simple swaps is something like chicken breast instead of chicken thighs, extra lean ground beef instead of the regular ground beef. Start using cooking spray instead of dumping oil into your pots and pans. And usually if you're not bad cook, as I like to think I am sometimes, you'll get the same meals with the same type of flavor. But now you have a bunch of calories left over for snacks. And this all comes at the cost without actually sabotaging your weight loss process. And that's how I lost 130 pounds and still enjoying the foods I wanted each and every single day. And a big part that helped me through this was being coached at a high level. I actually worked with a world-class powerlifting coach who helped me during my 130-pound weight loss, getting me to a stronger, leaner physique, still enjoying the foods I like and maintaining it all in the process. That structure and accountability completely changed my life and completely changed who I am today. And that's why this system works. It's built around real life, not perfection. Now, if you're someone who's actually struggling with weight loss and wants more structure in your life and wants a system that is tailored to you, this is exactly the kind of structure I build for people. No restriction, no food rules, just a system that works with your appetite instead of restricting it. There's a link below if you want to book a call. No pressure, just clarity. Ultimately, what I'm trying to say is you guys just fix one meal every single day. The rest will be easy.